Hi, thanks for joining me. I'm Peter Rudberg and I work at GeoViable as a researcher and consultant. I'm based in Cordoba, Spain and Stockholm, Sweden. I'm interested in the problem-solving capacity of adaptive governance, which I understand to be the extent it provides scope for collective management action in timely response to ecological and societal change. And that change could be shifting societal values or biodiversity decline, as well as climate change effects. In my work, I've mostly focused on hydropower and river restoration in Sweden, the EU, and the USA. So the focus of this presentation is on adaptive governance of highly modified river basins, although I think these ideas have broader application as well. I'm going to share my screen with you. And what you can see in the first row is governance processes and structures, which could be workshops, seminars, and court proceedings. And then we have administrative structures, as well as policy and legislation. And these processes and structures could be more or less allowing for adaptive governance to take place. And in the second row, we have intermediate indicators, which could be loop learning and trust and network change among stakeholders, but also the extent of polycentricity and fit of the administrative structure, as well as the content and the modification of policy and legislation for natural resource management, for example. And my impression is that most of the literature on adaptive governance focus on these intermediate factors. And these can have, but not necessarily, direct influence of the scope for collective management actions. And my proposal is to look at the extent of water reallocation in the case of highly modified rivers, and use this as an indicator of adaptive governance, since it is a core management action that improves fluvial connectivity, which in turn, if it's done correct, improves riverine ecosystem integrity and resilience. And the extent of water reallocation can serve as a starting point for analysis in a basin or a country, as well as for comparison between countries. And in the case of hydropower, we could look at mature hydropower countries like Canada, USA, Sweden, and France, and look at what share of water flow has been modified for hydropower production, and also to what extent there's been water allocations to restore the natural flow regime or specific restoration flows for key species. And I had, together with colleagues in the USA, done some research in this line, looking at hydropower production loss due to, for water reallocation for river restoration in Sweden and the USA. And we looked at the years 1990 to 2010 and found that in Sweden, 0.02% of hydropower production had been reallocated for river restoration, while in the USA, the number was 0.5. So although both numbers are low, there was 20 times more reallocation happening in the USA than in Sweden. And we found that procedural legislation regulating relicensing of hydropower projects in non-federal projects in the US as very important to understand this difference. So instead of having to juggle and evaluate a host of intermediate indicators, the idea is to look at water reallocation, which is a relatively straightforward indicator that can serve as a basis for analysis to look for why, to what extent there is adaptive governance in one country or comparatively between countries. So I hope that this brief introduction has left you wanting more. I'm striving towards conducting a pan-EU comparison among the top 9 hydropower producing countries. And I think that including the USA and or Canada in such a research effort would be very relevant. I would love to hear your reactions and comments and continue the discussion during my live questions and answer session on Wednesday, the 6th of January between 1 and 2:30 p.m. So I hope to see you there.